Captain Jake Morrison walked across the bridge of the U.S. Liberty. His ship was quiet, except for the soft hum of the engines. They had been in space for 3 months now, exploring the far edges of the solar system. Jake liked these quiet moments. They gave him time to think that the Liberty was not a big ship, but it was new. Earth had built it to explore space beyond Mars and Jupiter. The crew of 45 people were all skilled in their jobs. Jake was proud to be their captain. He had worked hard to get this position. Lieutenant Amy Carter sat at the communications desk. She was young, but very good at her job. Amy could pick up signals from far away and understand them quickly. She had been quiet for most of the shift, listening to the usual space noise. Suddenly, Amy sat up straight. Her fingers moved fast over the controls. "Captain," she called out, "I'm getting something strange." Jake walked over to her station. "What kind of strange?" "It's a signal, but not like anything I've seen before." Amy frowned at her screen. "It's coming from the outer edge of the system, way out past Neptune." Commander Rick Hayes looked up from his reports. Rick was Jake's second in command and his best friend. They had served together for 8 years. Could it be a malfunction? Rick asked. Amy shook her head. "No, sir. This is definitely a transmission. But it's not using any human codes or languages." Jake felt his heart beat faster. For years, humans had wondered if they were alone in the universe. Scientists had sent signals into space, hoping for an answer. Now maybe they had one. "Can you clean up the signal?" Jake asked. Amy worked on her controls for several minutes. Slowly, the static cleared. What they heard made everyone on the bridge stop what they were doing. The signal was clearly not human. It had strange sounds and tones that no human throat could make, but there was something else in it, something that made Jake's chest feel tight. "It sounds like they're in trouble," Amy said quietly. Dr. Helen Gray, the ship's language expert, came onto the bridge. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. Helen had studied languages from all over Earth. "Let me hear it," she said. Amy played the signal again. Helen listened carefully, her eyes closed. After a few minutes, she opened them. "I can't understand the words, but I can hear the tone. They're asking for help." "How can you be sure?" Rick asked. Helen smiled sadly. "Fear sounds the same in every language. So does desperation." Jake stared at the screen, showing the signal's location. It was far away, at the very edge of their solar system. Going there would take them away from their planned mission. Earth Command would not be happy. "Amy, can you tell how many signals there are?" Amy worked on her equipment again. "Captain, there are dozens of them, maybe hundreds, all coming from the same area." "Hundreds?" Rick stepped closer to the screen. "What could send that many signals?" "Ships," Jake said quietly. "It has to be ships." The bridge was silent for a moment. Everyone understood what this meant. They were looking at the first contact with alien life. But these aliens were not visiting Earth. They were lost and calling for help. "Captain," Amy said, "I'm getting more signals now. They're weaker than before." "What does that mean?" "Their power is running out. Whatever is happening to them, it's getting worse." Jake looked at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for his decision. He knew what Earth Command would say. They would want him to observe from far away and report back. They would want committees and meetings and careful plans. But people were dying out there. It did not matter that they were not human people. They were still people. Set course for the signal location, Jake said. Rick looked surprised. "Captain, shouldn't we contact Earth Command first? By the time we get permission, they might all be dead." Jake turned to the navigation officer. "Ben, how long to reach them?" Ben Cooper was a quiet man who knew space like others knew their hometowns. At full speed, about 6 hours, Captain. Do it. The Liberty turned toward the outer solar system. Jake felt the engines increase power under his feet. He was taking his ship and crew into the unknown to help strangers from another world. Amy continued working on the signals. Captain, I'm getting more information. There's a pattern to the transmissions. They're not random. What kind of pattern? Mathematical sequences. Universal constants. They're trying to communicate with anyone who might be listening. Dr. Gray nodded. Smart. Math is the same everywhere in the universe. As they traveled toward the signals, Amy slowly began to understand more. The aliens were using basic math to create a simple language. They were telling their story in numbers and patterns. They're refugees, Amy said after 2 hours of work. They had to leave their home. Their ships are damaged and running out of power. Jake felt a chill. How many ships? From what I can tell, there are over 1,000 vessels out there. Big ones and small ones. Family ships and cargo ships. How many people? Amy was quiet for a long time. Maybe 1 million. Maybe more. The bridge was silent. 1 million aliens were dying in the cold of space, and the Liberty was the only ship close enough to help them. Captain, Rick said quietly, we can't save 1 million people. Our ship isn't big enough. Then we'll do what we can, Jake said. We'll save who we can save. As they got closer, the ship's sensors began to pick up the alien fleet. The screens showed hundreds of dark shapes drifting in space. Most of them were not moving. Their energy readings were very low. They're dying, Ben said quietly. Their ships are shutting down one by one. Jake looked at the largest signal on the screen. It was bigger than the others and still had some power. That's probably their leader. Amy, can you send a message to that ship? Amy worked quickly. I can try, Captain. But I don't know if they'll understand. Send them our math sequences. Let them know we're here to help. Amy sent the message. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then, slowly, a response came back. They're answering, Amy said excitedly. They're sending back the same patterns, but with additions. They're trying to expand the language. For the next hour, Amy and the alien ship traded mathematical messages. Slowly, they built a basic way to communicate. It was not perfect, but it was enough. Ask them what they need, Jake said. Amy sent the question. The answer came back quickly. Power, Amy translated. Food, air, medical help. They're asking for everything, Captain. Jake looked at his crew. They were scared but determined. They all knew they were about to attempt something that had never been done before. Tell them we're coming, Jake said. Tell them Earth stands ready to help. The Liberty flew toward the alien fleet, carrying humanity's first message to the stars. It was not a message of war or conquest. It was a simple promise. You are not alone, and we will help you. Behind them, Earth continued its quiet orbit around the sun, unaware that everything was about to change. The Liberty moved slowly through the alien fleet. Jake had never seen anything like it. The ships were beautiful in a strange way. They were smooth and curved, not like the straight lines of human vessels, but they were also clearly damaged. Some had holes in their sides. Others were dark and cold. There, Amy pointed to the largest ship. That's where the signals are coming from. The alien vessel was 3 times bigger than the Liberty. Its hull was a deep blue color with silver markings that seemed to glow faintly. But even this mighty ship looked hurt. Parts of it were bent and twisted. Amy, send them a message, Jake said. Tell them we want to help, but we need to talk first. Amy sent the mathematical message. The reply came back quickly. They're inviting us to come aboard. Amy translated. But they're warning us that their air might not be safe for us. Dr. Lisa Brooks, the ship's doctor, stepped forward. Lisa was a tall woman with kind eyes and steady hands. "I can prepare breathing equipment for an away team," she said. "I'll go," Jake said immediately. "Captain, that might not be wise," Rick warned. "We don't know anything about these beings." "That's exactly why I need to go," Jake replied. "First contact should be handled by the captain." Jake chose a small team to go with him. Dr. Brooks would handle any medical issues. Tony Reed, the chief engineer, would look at their technical problems. Dr. Gray would help with communication. They put on special suits that would protect them from alien air and diseases. The suits were heavy and made it hard to move, but they were necessary. The Liberty moved close to the alien ship. A door opened in the side of the blue vessel. It was clearly meant for their shuttle to enter. "Here we go," Jake said as their small shuttle moved toward the alien ship. Inside the alien vessel, the air was thick and warm. The walls curved in ways that made Jake feel dizzy. Everything was lit by soft blue lights. The gravity was lighter. And on Earth, making each step feel like a small jump, 3 aliens were waiting for them. Jake tried not to stare, but it was hard. They were taller than humans, with long, thin arms and legs. Their skin was pale blue and seemed to shine slightly. They had large eyes that were completely black. No pupils or iris that Jake could see. One of the aliens stepped forward. When it spoke, the sound was like wind chimes mixed with singing. Dr. Gray listened carefully and then spoke into her translation device. "Welcome," the device said in a mechanical voice. "I am Commander Vex High. We are grateful you have come." Jake activated his own translator. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Liberty. We received your distress signals." The alien commander's large eyes seemed to focus on Jake. "Earth, we have not heard of your world, but you have heard our call and come to help. This is more than we dared hope." Dr. Brooks stepped forward. "Commander, our doctor would like to know about your medical needs." Commander Vex High made a sound. That might have been a sigh. "We are dying, Earth Doctor. Our ships have been in space for 8 months. We fled our homeworld when it was destroyed. Many of our people are sick. Our food is running out. Our power systems are failing." "What destroyed?" "Your world?" Jake asked. The commander's skin seemed to darken. "The Korthic Empire. They consume worlds and leave nothing behind. When they came to our system, we had only days to evacuate. We took what we could and ran." Jake felt a chill. An empire that destroyed entire worlds was something Earth would need to know about. "How many of your people are in the fleet?" Dr. Brooks asked. "Nearly 2 million Zephyrians across 1,500 ships. Most are families with children. We have elders and sick ones who cannot survive much longer in the cold. 2 million people." Jake had never imagined numbers so large. The Liberty could maybe help a few thousand at most. Tony Reed was looking at the alien technology around them. "Commander, I'm an engineer. Can I look at your power systems?" Commander Vex High led them deeper into the ship. The corridors were filled with Zephyrians. They looked tired and scared. Many were very thin. Children stayed close to their parents and watched the humans with curious eyes. "Our power cores are failing," the commander explained. "We have fuel, but the systems that turn it into energy are breaking down. Without power, we have no heat, no air circulation, no food processing." Tony studied the alien machinery. It was more advanced than anything humans had built, but it was clearly not working properly. "I might be able to help," he said. "Our technologies are different, but energy is energy." They visited the medical bay next. Dr. Brooks met with the Zephyrian healers. The aliens were doing their best to help the sick, but they were running out of medicine and supplies. "Our biologies are different," the chief healer explained through the translator. But we both need food, water, and air to live. Perhaps your medicine can help some of our people. Dr. Brooks nodded. We'll need to run tests first, but I'm willing to try. As they walked through the ship, Jake saw more and more signs of the Zephyrians' desperation. Families were sharing single meals. Children were wearing adult clothes because their own were worn out. Everyone looked tired and worried. Commander, Jake said, my ship is small. We can't take all your people, but we can help with supplies and repairs. Commander Vex-High stopped walking. Captain Morrison, why are you helping us? You do not know us. We have nothing to give you in return. Jake thought about the question. Why was he helping? Because you asked for help, he said simply. And because it's the right thing to do. The alien commander stared at him for a long moment. Then he made a sound that the translator said was laughter. Your people must be very different from the Sisi. Korthik, they would have enslaved us or left us to die. Humans aren't perfect, Jake said. But most of us believe in helping others when we can. They returned to the command center of the alien ship. Commander Vex-High showed them star charts and damage reports. The situation was worse than Jake had imagined. We have 3 days of power left in our main ships, the commander said. Maybe a week for the smaller vessels. After that, we will drift in the cold until we die. Not if we can help it, Jake said firmly. Dr. Gray had been working on improving the translation system. Commander, I need to understand your language better. Can you teach me? The alien commander looked pleased. I would be honored to share our words with you, Earth linguist. As they prepared to return to the Liberty, Commander Vex-High asked, Captain, will your people accept us? We are strangers from far away. Jake thought about Earth and all the different kinds of people who live there. Earth has room for everyone who comes in peace, he said. And you clearly come in peace. Back on the Liberty, Jake called his senior staff together. He explained what they had learned about the Zephyrians. 2 million people, Rick said quietly. Captain, we can't save them all. No, Jake agreed. But we can start. We can save some of them. And maybe that will be enough to save the rest. Dr. Brooks spoke up. I can modify our medical supplies to help their sick. It won't be perfect, but it might keep some of them alive longer. Tony Reed nodded. I can work on their power systems. If I can get their main ships running, they can help the smaller ones. What about food? Asked Ben Cooper. We have emergency rations, Jake said. It's not much, but it's something. Amy looked up from her communication station. Captain, I'm getting more signals. Other ships in the fleet are asking for help too. Jake looked at his crew. They were scared but determined. We're going to do whatever we can, he said. This is the most important thing any of us will ever do. As the Liberty began its rescue mission, Jake sent a message to Earth Command. He told them about the alien fleet and what humanity was going to do to help. He knew some people on Earth would be afraid. They would worry about aliens bringing disease or war. But Jake believed most humans would want to help, just like his crew did. The Zephyrians were counting on them. 2 million lives hung in the balance. And Earth was about to show the universe what humanity was really made of. The rescue operation began at dawn, ship time. Jake had divided his crew into teams, each with a specific job. They worked in shifts around the clock, knowing that every hour meant more Zephyrian lives saved or lost. Tony Reed led the engineering team. His job was the hardest because the alien technology was so different from human systems. Tony worked with Carl Johnson and Maria Santos, 2 of his best mechanics. They had taken apart half the Liberty's spare parts to create new solutions. The problem is compatibility, Tony explained to Jake during a brief break. Their power systems use a different kind of energy flow. It's like trying to put square pegs in round holes. But Tony was not giving up. He had spent 18 hours straight working on the problem. His solution was brilliant in its simplicity. Instead of trying to make human and alien technology work together, he built bridges between them. "We take our power cells and run them through modified converters," Tony said, showing Jake his plans. "The converters change our energy into something their systems can use." Carl Johnson was working on the physical connections. "It's not pretty, Captain, but it works. We can jury-rig power supplies for about 50 ships at a time." Maria Santos had been testing the systems on the smaller alien vessels. "The Zephyrians are quick learners," she reported. "Once we show them how to install the converters, they can do it themselves." The first test was on a family ship that had been without power for 2 days. When the lights came back on, the Zephyrian family inside cried with relief. Their children ran to the windows to look out at the stars again. "It's working," Tony said. "With satisfaction, we can save their power systems." Dr. Lisa Brooks faced an even bigger challenge. She had to figure out how to treat alien diseases with human medicine. The Zephyrian healers helped her, but their medical knowledge was very different from human medicine. "Their biology is similar to ours in some ways," Lisa explained to Jake. "They need water and oxygen like we do. But their blood is different. Their organs are arranged differently. And some of their diseases don't exist on Earth." Lisa worked with the Zephyrian chief healer, whose name was Kolthara. Together, they created new treatments that combined human and alien medicine. "The Earth medicine is very strong," Kolthara told Lisa through the translator. "It works faster than our treatments, but it must be used carefully." Lisa discovered that some human antibiotics could help fight Zephyrian infections. She also learned that Zephyrian healing techniques could help humans recover from injuries faster. "We're learning from each other," Lisa told Jake. "Their medicine is teaching us new ways to heal." The biggest medical challenge was the children. Many young Zephyrians were suffering from malnutrition. Their parents had been giving them adult food rations, but children needed different nutrition. Lisa worked with the ship's food processors to create special meals for the alien children. The food was not perfect, but it was better than what they had been eating. "The children are getting stronger," Kolthara reported after a week of treatment. "Your food is helping them grow." Ben Cooper handled the logistics of the rescue. He had to coordinate supply runs between the Liberty and hundreds of alien ships. It was like managing a city in space. "We're making 300 supply runs per day," Ben reported to Jake. "Food, medicine, power cells, spare parts. The shuttles are flying non-stop." Ben had trained some of the Zephyrians to pilot human shuttles. They were natural pilots and learned quickly. Soon, alien crews were helping with the supply runs. "They're not just taking our help," Ben observed. "They're helping us help them." The Zephyrians had organized themselves into work groups. Some repaired damaged ships. Others distributed food and medicine. The strongest helped move supplies. "There are people used to working together," Ben told Jake. "That's probably how they survived this long." Nancy Walsh, the ship's counselor, worked with the traumatized refugees. Many Zephyrians were suffering from what humans would call post-traumatic stress. They had watched their world die and fled into space with nothing but hope. "They've lost everything," Nancy explained to Jake. "Their homes, their culture, their sense of security, but they're remarkably resilient." Nancy worked with Zephyrian elders to understand their customs and beliefs. She learned that they were a peaceful people who valued family and community above all else. "They're not warriors," Nancy said. "They're farmers and teachers and artists. The Korthik destroyed their world because they couldn't fight back." Some of the older Zephyrians were having trouble accepting human help. They felt ashamed that their advanced civilization needed rescue from a younger species. Pride is universal, Nancy observed, but so is gratitude. Most of them understand that we're not trying to make them feel inferior. Dr. Helen Gray worked around the clock to improve communications between humans and Zephyrians. The mathematical language was useful for basic needs, but they needed to communicate complex ideas. Language is more than words, Helen explained. To Jake, it's culture and history and ways of thinking. I'm not just learning their language. I'm learning how they see the universe. Helen worked with Zephyrian scholars to create a better translation system. They exchanged stories and poems. And jokes. Slowly, understanding grew between the two species. They have a saying, Helen told Jake. In darkness, the smallest light shows the way. I think that's what we are to them. A small light in their darkness. The rescue operation was not without problems. Some of the alien ships were too damaged to save. Others had been without power so long that life support had failed completely. We've lost about 50 ships, Ben reported grimly. Maybe 3,000 people. We got there too late. Jake felt each loss personally, but he also knew they were saving hundreds of thousands of others. We can't save everyone, he told his crew, but we can save who we can save. And that has to be enough. The Zephyrians understood this too. They held ceremonies for the dead and celebrated the living. They did not blame the humans for not being able to save everyone. You have given us hope, Commander Vexhai told Jake. That is the greatest gift of all. As the rescue operation continued, both species learned from each other. Human engineers learned new ways to build things. Zephyrian healers learned new ways to treat illness. Children from both species played together, despite not speaking the same language. We're not just saving them, Amy Carter observed. We're becoming friends with them. The most touching moment came when a group of Zephyrian children made drawings for the human crew. The pictures showed humans and Zephyrians working together under the stars. They see us as heroes, Tony Reed said, looking at the pictures. But they're the brave ones. They left everything behind to save their families. After 2 weeks of constant work, the immediate crisis was over. Most of the Zephyrian ships had power again. The sick were getting better. The hungry were being fed. But Jake knew this was just the beginning. The Zephyrians needed a permanent home. And somewhere in space, the Korthic Empire was still destroying worlds. What happens now? Rick Hayes asked. Jake looked out at the alien fleet. Hundreds of ships filled with families who had trusted humanity with their lives. Now we find them. A home, Jake said, and we make sure they're safe. The rescue operation had succeeded beyond everyone's hopes, but it had also changed humanity forever. Earth was no longer alone in the universe. They had friends among the stars. And with friendship came responsibility. The Zephyrians were counting on them. 2 million lives were in human hands. Jake knew. His crew was ready for whatever came next. They had already proven that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their weapons. It was their willingness to help others, even strangers from distant worlds. The stars seemed brighter now, full of possibilities and new adventures. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and they had taken them with kindness and courage. The attack came without warning. Jake was in his quarters, reviewing supply reports, when the alarms began to sound. He ran to the bridge, where chaos waited for him. "Captain, we have multiple contacts coming in fast," Amy Carter reported her, voice tight with fear. "They're not broadcasting identification codes." Jake looked at the tactical display. 25 ships had appeared at the edge of the system. They were moving in perfect formation, heading straight for the Zephyrian fleet. "Are they more refugees?" Jake asked, hoping against hope. "No, sir," Amy replied. "These ships are armed. Heavy weapons, military design. and they're powering up their guns. Commander Vex High's voice came over the communication system. The alien leader sounded terrified. Captain Morrison, those are Korthic ships. They have found us. Jake's blood ran cold. The Korthic Empire. The same force that had destroyed the Zephyrian homeworld. They had followed the refugee fleet across the galaxy. How many ships? Jake demanded. 25 battlecruisers, Ben Cooper reported from the navigation station. Each one is bigger than our ship. They're carrying enough firepower to destroy the entire fleet. Jake looked at the display showing the Zephyrian vessels. Most of them were still civilian ships with no weapons. The few military vessels they had were damaged and running on emergency power. Amy, open a channel to the Korthic fleet. Channel open, Captain. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Liberty. You are entering human space. State your business. The reply came in a harsh, mechanical voice. This is Admiral Zektar of the Korthic Empire. We have come for the Zephyrian criminals who fled their rightful punishment. Surrender them to us, and your ship will be spared. Jake felt anger rising in his chest. The Zephyrians are refugees under our protection. They have committed no crimes. They defied the will of the Korthic Empire, the alien admiral replied. That is crime enough. You have 1 hour to deliver them to us, or we will take them by force. The communication ended. Jake stared at the tactical display, his mind racing. The Liberty was a science ship, not a warship. Against the Korthic fleet, they would last maybe 5 minutes. Captain, Rick Hayes said quietly, we need to call for backup. Amy, send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them we need military support immediately. Amy worked at her controls. Message sent, Captain. But the nearest Earth fleet is 4 days away. 4 days. The Korthic would not wait 4 days. Sir, Ben Cooper said, some of the Zephyrian ships are powering up their weapons. They're going to fight. Jake opened a channel to Commander Vex High. Commander, your ships are in no condition to fight. You need to evacuate the civilians. Captain Morrison, the Zephyrian leader replied, we will not run again. We are tired of running. If we must die, we will die fighting. You don't have to die at all, Jake said. We'll find another way. But even as he said it, Jake knew their options were limited. The Korthic fleet was too strong. The Zephyrians were too weak. And the Liberty was just one ship. Tony Reed came onto the bridge. Captain, I've been working with the Zephyrian engineers. Their weapon systems are more advanced than ours, but they're running on emergency power. How advanced? Jake asked. Their energy weapons are at least 50 years ahead of our technology. If we could get them working at full power. We don't have full power, Jake pointed out. No, but we have something else. We have our reactor technology. It's more efficient than theirs. If we can combine our power systems with their weapons. Jake began to understand. You want to create hybrid ships. Exactly. Take our power cores and their weapons. The result would be more powerful than either system alone. It was a desperate plan, but it might work. How long would it take? 6 hours. Minimum. And that's if everything goes perfectly. Jake looked at the countdown timer on his screen. The Korthic had given them 1 hour. We'll have to buy time, Jake decided. Rick, prepare the Liberty for combat. Tony, start working on those hybrid systems. Amy, get me a channel to all ships in the fleet. When the channel opened, Jake addressed. Both human and Zephyrian crews, this is Captain Morrison. In 45 minutes, the Korthic fleet will attack. We cannot match their firepower, but we can match their determination. Today, we stand together. Today, we show the universe that some things are worth fighting for. The response was immediate. Human and Zephyrian voices filled the communication channels. Volunteers offering to help in any way they could. Dr. Lisa Brooks, organized medical teams on all the ships. If there was going to be a battle, there would be casualties. Nancy Walsh worked with Zephyrian families to move children to the safest ships. Ben Cooper coordinated the fleet's defensive positions. The stronger ships would protect the weaker ones. It was not much of a strategy, but it was all they had got as the hour deadline approached. Jake tried one last diplomatic solution. "Admiral Zektar, I'm offering to negotiate. Let's talk about this." The Korthic commander laughed. "There is nothing to discuss, human. The Zephyrians belong to us. If you will not surrender them, then you will die with them." "So be it," Jake said. The Korthic fleet attacked exactly 1 hour after their ultimatum. 25 warships against a collection of refugee vessels and 1 human science ship. It should have been over in minutes. But the Zephyrians fought with desperate courage. Their damaged ships threw themselves between the Korthic and the civilian vessels. They fired everything they had, knowing they were doomed. The Liberty joined the battle, its small weapons barely scratching the Korthic ships. But Jake was not trying to win. He was trying to buy time for Tony's modifications. "Captain," Amy reported, "we're taking heavy damage. Hull breaches on decks 3 and 5. "Keep us in the fight," Jake ordered. Tony's voice came over the intercom. "Captain, the first hybrid ship is ready. The Zephyrian vessel Morning Star has our power core and their weapons." On the tactical display, Jake watched the Morning Star engage a Korthic cruiser. The alien ship's weapons, powered by human technology, tore through the enemy's shields like they were paper. "It's working," Ben Cooper shouted. The Morning Star just destroyed a Korthic ship. Hope flared in Jake's chest. Maybe, just maybe, they could win this. But the Korthic adapted quickly. They concentrated their fire on the Morning Star, overwhelming its defenses. The ship exploded in a ball of fire. "We need more hybrid ships," Jake said grimly. "Working on it," Tony replied. "But we need more time." Time was the one thing they did not have. The Korthic were systematically destroying the Zephyrian fleet. For every enemy ship they damaged, they lost 3 of their own. "Captain," Amy said, "I'm getting a transmission from the Zephyrian flagship. Commander Vexhai wants to speak with you." Jake opened the channel. The Zephyrian leader's image appeared on the screen. His ship was burning around him. "Captain Morrison," he said, "we cannot win this battle. But we can make sure our people are remembered. Tell the universe what happened here. Tell them the Zephyrians did not die as slaves. Commander, don't give up. We can still ... No, my friend. We cannot, but you can. Take the civilian ships and run. Save who you can save." Jake felt tears in his eyes. "I'm not leaving you." Then, "You are a fool," Commander Vexhai said with what might have been a smile. "But you are our fool, and we are honored to die beside you." The Zephyrian flagship charged into the middle of the Korthic fleet. Its weapons blazed until the very last second. Then it was gone. Jake stared at the empty space where his friend had been. The Korthic were winning. The refugee fleet was being destroyed. And Earth's first contact with alien life was ending in tragedy. But then, impossibly, new signals appeared on the tactical display. Ships were arriving from the direction of Earth, not the slow, methodical approach of a rescue fleet, but the fast, aggressive burn of warships coming to fight. "Captain," Amy said, hardly believing what she was seeing. "It's the Earth Defense Force. The entire Third Fleet is here." Jake looked at the display. 50 human warships had arrived, their weapons already charging. Earth had not abandoned them after all. "All ships," came a voice over the communication system. "This is Admiral Patricia, Stone of the Earth Defense Force. Any hostile forces in this system have 30 seconds to surrender or be destroyed." The tide of battle was about to turn. But Jake knew the cost had already been too high. Too many good people had died, both human and Zephyrian. The real test would be what came after the fighting end. The Korthic fleet did not surrender. Admiral Zektar was too proud and too confident in his superior numbers. He believed 50 human ships could not match 25 Korthic battle cruisers. He was wrong. The Earth Defense Force had been preparing for this moment since they received Jake's first message about the alien fleet. Every ship in the Third Fleet carried the most advanced weapons Earth could build. They had studied the recordings of Korthic technology and developed new tactics. Specifically for this battle, Admiral Patricia Stone was a veteran of many conflicts. She was known for her careful planning and fierce determination. When she spoke to the Korthic admiral, her voice was cold as space. "Admiral Zektar, this is your final warning. Leave our space immediately or face the consequences." The Korthic admiral laughed. "Humans, you know nothing of war. We have conquered 100 worlds. Your primitive ships are no match for the Korthic Empire." "Then let's find out," Admiral Stone replied. The battle that followed would be remembered in history books for generations. The Earth Defense Force fought with precision and courage that surprised even their enemies. Human ships worked together like parts of a single machine, covering each other's weaknesses and striking at Korthic vulnerabilities. But it was not just human ships fighting. Tony Reed's hybrid technology had created 5 more vessels that combined human power with Zephyrian weapons. These ships hit harder than anything the Korthic had ever faced. The surviving Zephyrians fought with desperate fury. They had lost their homeworld and many of their ships, but they would not lose their freedom. Civilian vessels that had no business in a battle threw themselves at Korthic ships to protect their families. Jake watched from the Liberty's bridge as the tide of battle turned. The Korthic ships, so confident minutes before, were now retreating toward the edge of the system. "Captain," Amy reported, "the Korthic flagship is hailing us." Admiral Zektar appeared on the screen. His ship was damaged and burning. His confident expression had been replaced by shock and fear. "This is impossible," he said. "Humans are a primitive species. How can you fight like this?" "Because we're not fighting for conquest," Jake replied. "We're fighting to protect our friends." The Korthic admiral stared at him for a moment. "Friends? You barely know these creatures." "That doesn't matter," Jake said. "They asked for help, and we gave it. That's what friends do." Admiral Zektar made a sound of disgust. "The Empire will return with more ships. You cannot protect them forever." "Maybe not," Admiral Stone interrupted, her image appearing beside Jake's. "But we'll protect them today, and tomorrow, and every day after that until you learn to leave peaceful people alone." The Korthic fleet retreated, leaving behind 7 destroyed ships and the promise to return. But Jake knew they would think twice before attacking again. Earth had shown them that humanity would not abandon its friends. As the immediate danger passed, the real work began. The Zephyrian fleet had been badly damaged in the battle. Over 100 ships had been destroyed. 50,000 Zephyrians had died, including Commander Vexai. Jake felt each loss personally. These people had trusted him to keep them safe, and he had failed many of them. But Dr. Lisa Brooks reminded him of something important. "Captain, without us, they all would have died. Every single one of them. We saved almost 2 million lives." The new Zephyrian leader was a young female named Kiravel. She had been Commander Vexai's second in command. When she spoke to Jake, her voice was full of gratitude and determination. "Captain Morrison, my people owe you a debt we can never repay, but we can offer you something else. We can offer you partnership." Jake was curious. "What kind of partnership?" "Our technology and your courage, our knowledge and your compassion. Together, we can build something better than either of our species could create alone. Admiral Stone was interested too. What exactly are you proposing? Kiravel showed them star charts and technical diagrams. There are other peaceful species in the galaxy. Other civilizations that need protection from the Korthik and others. Like them, if we work together, we can create an alliance strong enough to defend them all. The idea was ambitious beyond anything humans had imagined. An interstellar alliance with Earth as a founding member. It would change everything about humanity's place in the universe. We would need a base of operations, Admiral Stone pointed out. Somewhere safe for your people to live and work. Jake had an idea. What about the outer solar system? There are moons around Jupiter and Saturn that could be terraformed. We could build cities there. Dr. Helen Gray had been working with Zephyrian scholars to improve communication between the species. They have amazing terraforming technology, she reported. They could turn dead moons into garden worlds in just a few years. The more they talked, the more excited everyone became. Humans and Zephyrians working together could accomplish incredible things. They could explore the galaxy, defend the innocent, and discover wonders beyond imagination. But first, they had practical matters to handle. The refugee fleet needed immediate help. Many ships were still damaged. People were still hungry and scared. Tony Reed worked with Zephyrian engineers to create permanent versions of his hybrid technology. The new ships they designed were faster and stronger than anything either species had built before. It's like we complete each other, Tony told Jake. We have the raw power and determination. They have the advanced knowledge and precision. Together, we're unstoppable. Dr. Brooks established joint medical facilities where human and Zephyrian doctors worked side by side. They made breakthrough discoveries that helped both species. We're learning so much from each other, she reported to Jake. Their healing techniques are centuries ahead of ours in some areas. And our surgical methods are teaching them new ways to save lives. Ben Cooper coordinated the movement of the refugee fleet to the outer solar system. It was the largest migration in human history, and it went smoothly because both species worked together. They're natural organizers, Ben observed. Everything they do is planned and efficient, but they're also flexible when plans need to change. Nancy Walsh helped Zephyrian families adjust to their new lives. Many of them were having trouble accepting that they were truly safe after so many months of running and hiding. They're starting to hope again, Nancy told Jake. Children are playing. Adults are making long-term plans. They're beginning to believe in the future. The joint settlement on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, became the symbol of human Zephyrian cooperation. Within 6 months, it grew from a small outpost to a thriving city. Human and alien families lived side by side, their children playing together in the parks. Jake often visited the settlement. He loved watching human and Zephyrian children play together. They did not care about species differences. They just cared about having fun. Look at them, Kiravel said one day as they watched the children. They're the future, a generation that will never know a time when our peoples were strangers. The alliance grew stronger every month. Other alien species heard about what Earth and the Zephyrians were building together. Some asked to join. The Alterans brought advanced computer technology. The Centauri offered their knowledge of stellar engineering. Admiral Stone established the Alliance Defense Force, with ships and crews from multiple species. Jake was promoted to Admiral and given command of the Exploration Division. Your job, Admiral Stone told him, is to find more friends out there. The galaxy is big, and there are a lot of people who need help. Jake accepted the assignment gladly. The Liberty was upgraded with the best human and alien technology. His crew was expanded to include members from several species. Amy Carter became the Alliance's chief communications officer. She developed new translation systems that could handle dozens of languages. Dr. Gray worked with her to create a universal diplomatic protocol. "We're not just exploring space anymore," Amy told Jake. "We're building bridges between civilizations." The first major test of the Alliance came when the Korthik Empire returned, just as Admiral Zeektar had promised. They brought twice as many ships and expected an easy victory. Instead, they found a coordinated defense fleet with ships from 6 different species. The combined technology and tactics of the Alliance were more than the Korthik could handle. "This is Admiral Jake Morrison of the Galactic Alliance," Jake said when the Korthik demanded surrender. "You are ordered to leave Alliance space immediately. Any hostile action will be met with overwhelming force." The Korthik admiral who had replaced Zektar was smarter than his predecessor. He looked at the Alliance fleet and made a wise decision. "We withdraw," he said simply. The Korthik never attacked Alliance space again. Word spread throughout the galaxy that there was a new power among the stars, a power that protected the innocent and welcomed all peaceful species. Jake often thought about that first day when they had received the Zephyrian distress call. One simple decision to help strangers had changed the course of history. "Do you ever regret it?" Rick Hayes asked him one day. Rick was now captain of his own ship in the Alliance fleet. "Regret what?" Jake replied, answering that distress call. "It's changed everything. Humanity isn't just human anymore." Jake looked out at the Alliance fleet. Ships from a dozen species flew together in perfect formation. Their crews were explorers and protectors, scientists and warriors, a